This is a review video to show you how to create a contact sheet in Adobe Lightroom for our first assignment. Launch Lightroom Classic, and you might see a whole bunch of photos or content already on the screen. We want to start fresh. And Adobe Lightroom is a bit of an odd app in that it's not an individual image open close situation. If you want to start a fresh thing, you got to go to File pull down menu and select New Catalog. And then you create a folder and you give it a location, and Lightroom wants to know in advance what this folder is going to be called and where it's going to be. Once that's done, then you'll get this grayed out area, and it means you're ready to go and start a new thing. You want to select the library app up here, or the library area of Lightroom. There are other functions here. The library area, you could say, is the information area to find out what you've got. We'll want to go to this bottom area down here in the bottom left. Click on Import. Then you'll want to go to your computer and access your shots that you've taken. I've, in advance, created a folder called Water Bottle Shots. So I'll select that, and I can see previews of them. And now I'm going to import them. Bottom right corner, select Import. And now you can see your content inside the Lightroom library. Now, before we move ahead and create the contact sheet, we might need to delete the ones we don't want. We might need to read some information here. We might need to arrange the files so that they make sense in terms of the assignment. So over here, I know right off the bat, I've got a couple images that I don't want. So you can left click on those and then shift and left click again. And if you highlight them, right click, come all the way down to remove photos at the bottom, remove photos. And I can delete some shots that I don't want in Lightroom, and we're not deleting them forever. It's just saying, do you want to get rid of these 2 photos from this Lightroom project? So I'll say yes. And yeah, I've got 4 different metering modes in my camera, and then for 3 shots each, that means 12 shots. So now I've got even Steven, and I'm looking better in terms of my content. But I also wanted to go average first, and then the overexposed shot, and then the underexposed one for each metering mode. So you might want to just make sure your proverbial ducks are in a row. If you come over to the bottom, sort of right-hand side, you'll see that every time you click on an image, you'll get information. And I would recommend clicking this Customize button to set the information that you want to see for every file. I put dimensions, the camera model, the metering mode, file size, exposure settings, exposure program, whether it's manual or automatic, and the ISO. And then that way I can go through in my library and I can see, oh, right, yeah, that's my average one, and then that's the next one with that mode, and so on. Then once you've got things in terms of information that's legible, you might want to move some of these around. I know that I want 4 rows of 3, and I want this one is going to go first, and then I want this one second, but this one here is second. So what you can do is move things around. If you come down to the bottom to what they call the film strip, and wait for it, you have to select the folder where it's located. Oh my goodness, this messed me up a couple of times. So down in the film strip, you can select a photo, select the source in the folder here, and then I can take an image and move it over. So now I've got my average, my +1, and then my -1 for that meter mode. Let me do that again. Let's see, I can go to number 6 down in the film strip, and then I'm going to move it over there. Okay, that makes sense. And then I'm going to take that guy and move it there. Oh, I didn't even have to select it in the film strip. That's cool. As long as I've got the folder selected, it's not getting confused. All right, so I had to make a few moves. So here is metering mode number 1 for me, average, overexposed, under. Here's another average, overexposed, under, average, overexposed, under, average, overexposed, and under. Now, all my ducks are in a row. Yay. So we can move on now to the contact sheet. Woo! Take a deep breath. Now let's go over to the top right corner and select print. Come on over to the left, and you're going to see a tiny little arrow. Yes, that's right, a tiny little arrow with a tiny font. You might have to put on glasses if you need them, my fellow peoples. And you'll see something that says Lightroom Templates. Let's just, for sake of ease, select the 5x8 contact sheet. Now we can see that I've only got one image on this contact sheet. I'm going to left click, shift, hold it down. Let's bring all of them in. I've got 12. Maybe you've got less, maybe you've got more. Now we can see we've got a lot of wasted space here. So come on over to the right-hand side under a little arrow toggle that says layout. I'm going to change my rows and my columns. I've got 4 different meter modes and 3 shots for each one. So what that does is it fills up my sheet and makes things just look better. And for each metering mode, I've got my average, +1, -1, average, +1, -1. You get the drill. So that is set. Now, before I move on and make any labels, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and you're going to see a little thing that says print job with an arrow. Instead of printer, we're going to select JPEG. We're not going to print these, we just want to save it as a JPEG. And then just below that, you'll see another area that says file resolution 300 PPI is what you want to type in. I don't know what Lightroom is by default. PPI, pixels per inch, let's say 300. And under JPEG quality, put that slider over to 100%. And while we're at it, why don't we make the color space Adobe RGB under Profile. Now, let's add captions. Now you could manually type in this presentation, but that might just take a while. Why don't we just use Lightmeter's functions, because it already has access to the camera info. So if you scroll along the right-hand side, you'll see like a photo info checkbox. And obviously if we take that off, it's just the images and there's no information. By default, you'll see the file name displayed underneath each one. You can make the file font size, a little bit bigger. I changed mine to 12. Instead of file name, let's select edit. Change file name to edit. Then you're going to get some options. And Lightroom has access to your camera's metadata. It knows, oh yeah, it knows, when you took the photo and what modes and settings you had. So could we please put the following in for our presentation? Right now I've got file name. I'm going to highlight that, left click, I'm going to delete it. Then I'm going to put the ones that we want, the ones that matter. So let's put in exposure first. And then it shows up. And then up in this like white window area, and then let's go with the metering mode as information. Let's put that second. Then let's put the ISO, select it and then insert. And then let's put in the exposure program, which is going to tell us that we are, in fact, in manual mode, because that's how we wanted to shoot this assignment. So up here in this white window, in the following order: exposure, metering mode, ISO, exposure program. Then we're going to click done. And every one of our images now has a caption already done for us. Yay. Now come on down to the bottom right corner, and we're going to select print to file. We're going to give it a name, and the file name is very important. We're not just going to call this random water bottles. It is going to be a standardized file name. You're going to say your first name, then you're going to write in your full last name, and then we're going to call this A1, assignment 1. Then if you want to say some other things after that that might help you in terms of your file saving and flow, that's fine. Like you could call it contact sheet, exposure, control, whatever you like. But the beginning of our file names are always going to be full name, last name, assignment number. We're going to save it to a location that you can access. Wait for it. And then we're good. So this is the JPEG file of our assignment 1 that will be uploaded to DC Connect.